Hello, my name is Sunmin Lee, and I am an MPhil candidate at the Faculty of Education at the University of Cambridge. In this video, I'll be introducing you to my article, which has been published in Volume 7 of the Cambridge Education Research e-journal. So the title of my article is Sociocultural and Sociolinguistic Approaches to the Role of the Social Context in Online L2 Learning, a comparative analysis of two empirical studies. And first of all, I'm going to introduce you to the purpose of my article, which was twofold. Firstly, I wanted to compare the sociocultural and sociolinguistic approaches in explaining the role of the social context in second language learning. I wanted to do this because while both of these approaches both place great importance on the social nature of learning, they can often be quite difficult to distinguish due to some overlapping areas. So a key goal of the article was to clarify these blurred boundaries by explicitly highlighting the areas of interrelation and points of differences. The second purpose of the article was to evaluate the adequacy of the two approaches in explaining the role of the social context in second language learning. In doing this, I focused my analysis on the context of online learning in particular. And the reason for this is that while sociocultural and sociolinguistic approaches have contributed very well-established theories in the field of language education, they were developed prior to recent technological advancements and the applications of such to education. Therefore, I wanted to re-evaluate the impact of these emerging online settings on each of these two approaches. In achieving the purposes of my article, I presented and analyzed two studies which were both about online learning. The first one by Isbell took a sociocultural approach, and another study by Yim took a sociolinguistic approach. And through an in-depth analysis of these two studies, I tried to highlight the similarities and differences as well as evaluate the strengths and limitations of each approach. And what was highlighted through my article was that each of the two approaches provide partial explanations to the role of the social context in L2 learning. For instance, while Isbell's study, which adopts a sociocultural perspective, provides a very detailed account of how learning is socially mediated, there is a lack of exploration concerning how learners themselves have the potential to impact the learning process. On the other hand, Yim's study, which adopts a sociolinguistic perspective, provides us with great insight concerning how learner affect, identity, stances, and ideologies play a role in the L2 learning process, something that is not really addressed by the sociocultural approach. However, little explanation is provided concerning how the L2 code is actually acquired, which is something that is addressed very well by the sociocultural approach. So, in other words, the social cultural approach provides us with more insight to the learning aspect of L2 learning, while the sociolinguistic approach provides us with a better picture of the social side. So, in essence, my article is that the two approaches collectively contribute to explaining two separate sides to the same coin, with one side being social context and the other being second language acquisition. The article therefore proposes that because the two approaches are so complementary in nature, integrating them two would provide a much more holistic picture of the social nature of L2 learning. However, another key point to note is that some of the rigid premises put forth by the two approaches, such as expert-novice relations and language-culture correlations, cannot fully account for newly emerging learning communities that are significantly different from traditional ones. Today, we live in a world where cultures and languages are not stationary and homogeneous entities, limited to geographical areas. Due to the development of technology and globalization, languages and cultures have become much more fluid and complex. They merge and they change over time as new communities emerge. So, therefore, the rigidity of the premises put forth by the two approaches must evolve accordingly in order to better account for these changes. If you are interested in finding more about my article, please visit the Cambridge Educational Research Journal webpage. Thank you.